Okay, so one thing I realized is that a lot of you guys are really young that are watching my videos. And one thing I understand is that a lot of you guys are actually going into middle school. So if you're in grade 5 going to middle school or already in middle school, this video will help you out because I'm basically going to give you the rundown of everything bad about middle school. Yes, I'm talking about literally everything today. And if I miss some things, we'll put it for another video. And if you have any questions, comment it down below. But if you need an answer like right away, like, you know, those people that just really want to talk to me and just want to understand something, join the Discord server down below because I made one and I'm excited to have you guys in there and talk to you guys about anything you guys really need. In a way, I could be like your counselor to pull women, to live life, to do everything. That was really awkward, but going on. So one thing about middle school you guys need to understand is that middle school will change you completely. Even though it's only 3 years of your life, well, at least here in Canada, it's only 3 years of your life, you're going to realize a lot of different things about yourself that you never actually understood. Like, for example, one thing you'll start to realize is that you start caring about popularity, and many other people will. I mean, it's very common. I know back when I was in middle school, I cared about being well known and, you know, being considered cool, I guess. And then another thing that you'll start realizing is that you'll start caring about the way you look and the type of people you hang out with. And on top of that, just a bunch of other things that you start realizing in middle school. And the reason for this is because of hormones. Now, if you guys don't know what hormones are, basically it's like hitting puberty, except hormones is like the way you feel about things. And the way you feel about things can usually lead to a lot of different things, but especially in middle school, being so young, you start doing things that, let's just say, you shouldn't do. Like, for example, one thing I realized back in middle school is that a lot of people were really fake towards me. Being fake is something really toxic that you don't want to be. Like, just don't pretend to be something you're not. Like, I remember literally for like a year and a half of my middle school life, just to impress a girl, I pretended I was an international super spy. That's a story for another day, but I mean, I'm not joking when I say this. Like, I tried being something I wasn't to impress someone else, and being fake is just not really it. Of course, as well as there's a lot of people that are really petty in middle school. Being petty is just usually a way to like cope with being insecure and talk behind people's backs, you know, being just really toxic in general. And in my opinion, if you're one of these people, do me a favor and just go off a cliff. What? Oh, I can't tell them. Oh, right, YouTube. Sorry. You guys are just kids. Basically, grow up. Just grow up. No one cares that you're petty. No one cares about you. Just grow up. Be cool, man. Just be cool. Now, this one's really popular amongst girls is what I realized, but being an attention seeker is honestly disgusting. Like, I'm not joking. The amount of times I've seen girls walk up to me and tell me the most false information about themselves, and then I start getting worried about them, and like, you know, they act all like, you know, depressed and stuff. Like these are the type of people that will pretend to be depressed, and these are attention seekers. Just be careful about them. And honestly, whenever someone tells you something, just confirm it with them and actually understand it. And if it looks like they're attention seeking, my opinion, just walk away, bro. Don't want to deal with it. Like, I'm not joking when I say this. Don't be a drama lover. Just don't like drama. Literally, if two people are arguing, just stay out of it. Let them figure it out. Don't spread it throughout the school. Don't make it like a big deal. I hate to break it to you. You're not a newspaper. No one cares if there's drama in the school. Just let it go, man. Who cares? And if you're starting drama, seriously, man, it's just gonna come back to you anyway. And then last but not least, and I think this was the most common throughout middle school and the most well-known thing to be, and that's a jerk. If you're a jerk in middle school, just understand karma will get to you. At least that's what my thought process was about it. But if you're a jerk and just upset about everything in life and just really don't care, like being a jerk, I don't know why, but for some reason people feel like they need to be mean to others just to make themselves feel better. If you're a jerk, just grow up. And also, one thing you start to realize when you start becoming a jerk is that you start saying the words I don't care a lot. If you say the words I don't care a lot, fun fact, you're being a jerk to yourself and a jerk to others. Just don't be a jerk, man. Like, who cares? Now, many people, when you go into middle school, you start realizing the types of people there are. You gotta understand, when you first enter through those doors, everyone's already in a certain category that you start to realize. For example, there are the popular kids, which are really well known throughout the school, and honestly, everyone just knows them, hangs out with them, and well, a lot of people rely on them, go to them, and look up to them to basically make their middle school experience better by hanging out with them. I don't know. Let's just say if you're a popular kid, you already know this. A lot of people come to you, a lot of people hang out with you, and basically, you never have to really get invited to sit anywhere or hang out with anyone because you're automatically invited to things, and you're just considered that guy, man. You're just that dude. And then obviously in middle school, there are obviously bullies. Bullies are literally everywhere in this earth. We all know this. We're on the internet, for God's sake. And being a bully, you start realizing that, like, you know, you start picking on others, and you know, you start really like being really toxic. These are the people like that are basically the jerks that I was talking about earlier, except they amplify it to another level, usually to cope about something. Either it's like, you know, their mommy doesn't love them, or they have daddy issues, or in reality, they're probably living in a box. My opinion, if you see a bully, look at them, walk away, and dip. If they bug you, just don't say anything, because most bullies only want one thing, and that's a reaction. So if you give it to them, you're basically asking to get bullied again. Now, this is the thing I was back in middle school, and that was the class clown. Now, being a class clown, you basically kind of like say things out of pocket and say things out of place. Usually it's a naughty joke, you know, like devil's tango, or basically just something that makes people laugh. And usually in an awkward moment, you're the type of person to brighten things up by saying something so stupid that no one understands it, but still laugh. You gotta understand, in middle school, humor is just literally all over the place. Anything could be considered funny. Like, I can literally talk about me sharding my pants for 6 minutes to a girl, and middle schoolers will laugh about it. I don't know why, but I mean, hey, it works out. And then last but not least, there are the other kids. Now, these kids, you don't even recognize them throughout middle school. And after you leave middle school and see them in high school, you won't have any idea who they are. Don't be that guy. Be known for something, at least. Like, at least. Now, I've been talking a lot about what happens inside of middle school, but also one thing you're going to realize is that even your home life starts to change when you enter middle school. What do I mean by this? Well, basically, your parents will really start to pressure you throughout middle school and basically start really caring about your grades and stuff, because in middle school is where you start getting more freedom. And more freedom means more responsibilities, which means your parents have to make sure you're doing the right thing. So they're obviously going to check over your grades. They're going to start, you know, putting you into like extra activities like soccer, hockey, football, lacrosse, all these, you know, sports usually is the most common thing. And don't do what I did and join the chess club. You know, that's what my parents want me to do. And even though I'm good at chess, sadly, I couldn't pull girls with chess. Come on, mom. And then on top of that, overall, I will just say, you know, you start realizing that being at home, you have a lot more on your plate. And I'm just gonna say this right now, you are not alone. You are not. I'm not joking. Middle school does get harder, because one thing you'll start realizing is that back in elementary school, you had a lot of free time. You know, homework was never a big deal. Responsibilities were always just left to your parents. But when you hit middle school, you start realizing things will start coming to you, and you have to start expanding and, you know, having less time for yourself and doing more homework. It's just a pain in the butt. Now, anyways, back to middle school though. One thing I will say about middle school is that you will see a lot of things that you need to stay away from. And here are a couple things you need to stay away from. Like, for example, vaping. I know vaping has gotten so popular throughout all schools. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, back when I was in high school, when it started getting popular, I even started vaping. And one thing I will say is that don't vape. Vaping is not cool. I hate to break it to you. It's not I'm sorry, any smoke that goes into your lungs just ends up ruining your lungs. So just don't vape. It's not cool. Now, this one's mostly for the girls, but one thing you'll start realizing, that girls will start wearing more revealing clothing, because they're also hitting puberty. So obviously, you know, they're getting into the stages of, you know, wearing a bra and stuff. And, you know, guys will start seeing girls wear more clothing. I don't know how to explain it. To be honest, it's been a long time since I was in middle school, but one thing I will say is that the amount of times I got a hard on back when I was in middle school, my eggplant grew a lot. And that's because of what other women wore, and I'm not blaming it on them. I'm just saying, you know, hormones act up, you know, and you start realizing that, like, you know, girls are wearing more revealing clothing. So in my opinion, I don't know, try to stay innocent, I guess. And one thing you'll start realizing as well is that jokes are a lot different. You know, you'll start seeing disturbing memes that, you know, are usually about nudity and the devil's tango. And people will start making inappropriate jokes that, you know, go more than, you know, just poo-poo and pee-pee jokes. A lot of things will just be more harder on you. And now here's the last and final thing I will say about middle school, and this is about you. You will become less innocent. You will not be the same person. You are going to change, and you will become a weirdo or someone that really doesn't know themselves. You will start realizing how you will become less innocent, wanting things that you know you shouldn't have. And on top of that, you'll start seeing all these things, and you'll start saying, oh, I mean, the world's just like this. And you'll start blaming things on how dark this world is. My opinion, the world sucks. The world's dark. And yes, middle school does get hard. Understand that you are a strong person. You make the choices that you want to do in middle school, because the choices you do in middle school will get stuck to you throughout high school. And I should know this because I was that guy. Now, hitting puberty, I gotta say, is one of the worst things ever. Not actually hitting puberty, but I guess the things you have to go through to actually finish puberty. But honestly, this story I'm gonna tell you guys is super embarrassing. So if you guys relate to this in any way, leave a like and subscribe, because seriously, it means a lot when you guys do. And let's get straight into this. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another crazy but super embarrassing story. So this story all takes place back in my grade 9 year. So I know it sounds weird for me to say, but I started hitting puberty halfway through my grade 9 year. And I'm not gonna lie, it was probably the worst things ever. Because before I hit puberty, I was a very basic, non-hairy, super normal, small genitalia male. That sounds really weird to say, but I was a basic guy. And no joke, like, hitting puberty was one of the most scariest things ever, because I did not expect it at all. The term hitting puberty like a rock is actually a real thing it, and it makes me super uncomfortable to say, but it's scary, bro. Because I remember like halfway through my second semester of grade 9, I woke up one morning not feeling the best. I don't know why, but I felt like I stank more than usual. I guess I was having like bed sweats, I guess, but at the time when I was younger, I didn't even know what that was. I wasn't used to sweating so intensely, I guess I would say. But I remember I woke up, and since I felt so gross, I went up to the shower, took a shower, and when I was showering, I started to notice that I started growing hair down in the eggplant area. Yeah, you know, I'm not really supposed to say this because I don't want to get demonetized or anything, but YouTube, come on, man. This is basically education. But yeah, I started growing hair in places that I did not expect to grow hair. So knowing that, I remember I literally grabbed my dad's razor because me and him used the same shower, and I ended up actually cutting my eggplant while shaving. Yeah, it really hurt, and it was all for just a strain of hair. As weird as that sounds, I still didn't want it on me because, well, I don't know, I just didn't expect it. I know it sounds really dumb in a way, and it sounds really silly when I'm explaining to you guys right now, but at the same time, like I said, when you're a young kid not understanding anything at all about puberty and, you know, the way your body changes, I guess, you start to really worry. But I wouldn't say that's even the worst part, because it got a lot worse when I got to school. Because I remember I entered school that day, and I don't know why, but my voice did not feel right to me. Not in a way where I couldn't speak, but it just felt like my voice wasn't mine anymore. Like, I started walking around, and I remember when I sat down in my science class, I just wanted to keep to myself because, I don't know, I just felt weird. I felt kind of sick, I guess, in a way. So me thinking that I had like maybe like a sore throat or something, I decided to just, you know, basically try not to speak, which is kind of crazy because I'm a kind of an extrovert, but not to a crazy amount. But I remember my buddy walks up to me. He's like, yo, Bubba, what's good, bro? Like, are you all right? You don't look so good. Yeah, I'm good. Wait, what? Say that again. Yeah, I'm good, is what I said in a super deep voice because I started to realize my voice wasn't the same, like I said earlier. Going on though, I remember we all sat down for class, and my teacher was one of those teachers that I hated. What kind of teacher, you may ask? Well, one of the teachers that would basically pick on random students to answer questions. I think we all had those teachers, and don't get me wrong, even though they're trying to get everyone involved into the classroom, really makes a lot of pressure on a young guy like me, at least at the time. I'm not really young anymore. I'm 24, but still, I've been through a lot. Going on though, I remember at this specific class, we were talking about, I guess, some sort of cells and like the nucleus and all that stuff, and my teacher, that was my science teacher, ends up picking on me saying, Bubba, can you answer what this is? And I'm looking at the board, and I know exactly what it is. I wasn't dumb back in school, but I ended up just pausing, not saying anything, because I didn't know if my voice was gonna give out on me. But once again, my teacher says, Bubba, can you answer this? And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, yeah, sure. It's the gemellus. Bubba, are you feeling all right? When the teacher said that, I remember the whole class started laughing like crazy. No joke, and even my crush that was literally sitting like 2 seats down from me was laughing as well. I remember at that moment, I got up and I just ran out of the classroom. I didn't know what to think. One minute, I'm growing hair on my private parts. The next minute, I'm not being able to speak. Like, this was all happening in one day, which sounds really insane, but don't get me wrong, like over the weeks, I started to realize that maybe it was a good thing I hit puberty once and for all. But still, knowing I had a stutter, and on top of that, having a voice that, you know, basically goes up and down as if I'm like a creepy crawly, was really disgusting and super embarrassing, dude. Like, to this day, I still like think about crying about it sometimes because it's actually really weird. Going on though, I remember I ended up running out of that classroom. I ran straight to the bathroom, and I sat down on the toilet seat, closing the stall and basically panicking. I don't know, I was hyperventilating and breathing a really weird amount as if I couldn't stand there anymore. I couldn't even like think straight, but I was like basically like breathing with my lungs, trying to like calm down, I guess you could say. And things get a lot worse after that, because right away, out of nowhere, I ended up hearing one of my friends come into the bathroom saying, yo, Bubba, is everything all right, bro? You seem off in class. It's okay. You know that, right? And I'm just sitting there on the toilet seat being like, go away. Dude, you don't sound so good. Are you sick or something? I don't know. Okay, well, let me know if you need me. I'm gonna go tell the teacher all right. Okay, is what I said after he left. And thinking about it now, it was actually pretty dumb, but really nerve-wracking. But I remember I came out of the bathroom stall after he left, and I ended up looking at myself in the mirror, trying to figure out what's going on. I guess I'm having one of those like mirror moments where I feel like the main character. But then afterwards, I felt my hand on my back, and I felt like my back was like wet. I ended up going back inside the bathroom stall to see what was in the bathroom that made me wet. Like, I wasn't putting my back on the toilet or anything, but then I realized I was sweating. I was sweating preposterously, like insanely, like a crazy amount. And it made me realize that maybe maybe it was the same sweating that I did back when I was at home when I woke up that same morning. I don't know. I guess like those are like the beginning stages of hitting puberty that I'm not gonna lie to anyone watching that's, I guess, still in middle school hitting puberty. You're gonna go through this. And trust me, it's normal. But I remember the bell ended up ringing and I walked out of the bathroom. And when I did, I ended up seeing my crush that saw me from earlier. She walks up to me saying, "Hey, Bubba, is everything all right?" "Oh, yeah." "Why are you deepening your voice?" "Oh, no reason." "Okay, well, I just want to let you know that the teacher gave me your homework, but, do you need help doing it?" "No, I'm good." "What's wrong with you, Bubba?" "Nothing. Leave me alone." And I ended up running out of there super quick. I don't know why, but growing up, I always had that like fight or flight response. And I guess I always chose flight because there was no way I was gonna hit a girl. Anyways, I ended up running away, and I ended up actually, funny enough, went inside the janitor's closet, the literal janitor's closet. I sat in there kind of just like thinking to myself if I should just go home because maybe I was sick in some way. I didn't really understand what was going on with me, so that's exactly what I decided to do. I called my mom. Actually, I didn't call her. I texted her knowing how bad my voice was, and I texted her saying that I was coming home. My mom ends up actually calling me afterwards and says, "Bubba, what do you mean you're coming home? What sickness do you have?" "Mom, I'm not feeling good." "Bubba, why do you sound like that? Are you crying?" "No." "Bubba, I'm coming to your school right now." "No, you don't have to." And she hangs up right away. My mom hung up on me, and at that moment, I knew that she was headed to the school because my mom loves me so much to the point where she knows that I was in any sort of panic or any sort of, I guess, sad state, she would be right there by my side. Which, Mom, if you're watching this video, I love you so much. Seriously. Anyways, going on from there, I remember it got really, really weird because I remember I came out of the janitor's closet, and the janitor, funny enough, was about to roll in with his like little like cart thing that he has, and he looks at me saying, "Excuse me, young man, why'd you go inside the janitor's closet? You need something from there?" And me, I just looked at him and I just walked away. I walked away and actually ended up leaving without saying a word to him. Obviously, he felt really hurt by that, and I did apologize later on in the future, but the excuse I gave him was that I just wasn't feeling well that day. I didn't want to say I was hitting puberty, but yeah, I ended up walking away, and that's when I ended up going towards the field of my school. I went to the field and I saw the cheer squad that my crush was in actually doing cheerleading, which was really cool of her to do. And I'm not gonna lie, my crush back when I was a kid, actually to this day now, she's actually still a cheerleader for a big football team. Wow, it's crazy to think about. Not the point. Going on, I remember I saw her cheerleading on the field, and then out of nowhere, I ended up getting an announcement on the speaker. I ended up listening in, and it said, "Bubba, can you please come down to the office? Thank you." At that moment, I remember once again the sweating started happening. I started sweating more and more and more, and I decided to just go to the office and see what's going on. And when I got there, I saw my mom. My mom looks at me and grabs me by the shoulders and says, "Is everything all right? What's wrong?" "Nothing." "Bubba, did someone hurt your throat? What's going on?" And at that moment, my principal ends up coming out of his office saying, "Bubba, can we speak to you in the office, please?" At that moment, I didn't know what to do, and I just tore down crying. I didn't know what to do at that moment, bro. Like, it was so awkward, and I felt so not myself that day. It was really awkward, and my mom ended up just taking me home, saying that, like, she needs to let me talk to my dad about things. And that's when my dad came home from work that same day and told me that I was becoming a young man, which is weird because my dad always called me a man, but I guess now I was actually the man, as people may say. And I gotta say, in the next couple weeks afterwards, my voice started to get better, I guess, but it just started deepening. From there, I guess one thing led to another. Eggplant not only got hairy, but it started getting bigger, which is maybe too much information for you guys, so I apologize, but it's a part of puberty, okay? It's normal. And not only that, but I started growing hair in many other places, and I guess you could say I also got a bit taller, which was good because girls like tall guys. I don't know. I guess after like the year went by and I became in my grade 10 year, I finally learned how to use a razor, and I also learned how to basically talk normally. And since I gained some height, I don't know, I guess year after, I ended up actually being able to have enough confidence to ask my crush out, which actually did end up working out, but that's a whole story for a different time. Can we get a middle school guide? Can you do one for middle school, please? Next year, I'll be going to middle school. What should I expect? Can you do a middle school? I watch all your videos and I'm an OG. All right, well, here it is. You guys wanted it so bad, and here I am to give it to you guys. Ever since I made the high school survival guide episode 1, the first day, you guys have all been asking for a middle school version, which is crazy to me because I didn't realize how many of you guys were in middle school. So without further ado, let's get straight into a middle school survival guide episode 1, the first day. What is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another episode of middle school survival guide. Well, actually, this is the first one for middle school. So you wake up for middle school and you have no idea what to do. You're getting ready and you realize that you're wearing all the clothes that you literally bought the week before, and it's your first time wearing it for the first day. Yeah, fun fact, I'm gonna tell you this right now, no one will care what you're wearing. Same as the high school survival guide, no one cares what you wear on the first day. Don't set high expectations for yourself wearing the coolest shirt and then walking walking into school and realizing that no one's looking at you because no one will care. I hate to break it to you. You can spend as much as you want on your Balenciaga or cool clothing or Supreme tees. No one cares. I'm sorry to break it to you. A t-shirt's a t-shirt, pants are pants. Simple as that. Going on though, when you are getting dressed, make sure to do a couple things. One, make sure you are actually smelling good, because one thing I realized that middle school is a really stinky place. A lot of middle schoolers don't keep clean. It's a common fact, and you know, if you don't believe me, you'll see it for yourself. Middle schoolers don't know how to really clean themselves. It sounds stupid, I know, but seriously, take showers. Take daily showers. I remember back when I was in middle school, I showered literally every single day. Okay, sweet. So now you're dressed up and ready for middle school. Now, when you guys go to the middle school and actually start entering in, you'll realize one insane thing. Everyone has hit puberty. Yes, this is a common thing that every middle schooler goes through. Everyone hits puberty at a different time and age. And you know, knowing that you just came from elementary school, and let's be real here, knowing elementary school is literally full of babies, yeah, you're gonna experience a lot of people hitting puberty. And what do I mean by that? Well, you're gonna see all the people that you knew from grade 5 in your own school growing mustaches, shaving their hair, growing out their long hair, dyeing their hair, becoming emo, becoming a random, becoming a freak. Some kids maybe will pick their nose and eat it, and some kids will maybe, funny enough, literally shave at their locker. Yes, I've seen someone actually pull out a full-on shaver and shave themselves in their locker. And by that, I mean their beard. Nowhere else. That would be weird if he was shaving his eggplant. But going on. So knowing that everyone has hit puberty, and you're going to see one thing that will actually make you, as a hormonal teenager, because you are in your teens at this point, getting you excited will be all the girls. Yes, this was something I can easily explain for myself. Going into middle school, and me being a middle school at the time, and going into every classroom and seeing a bunch of hot chicks, because you know, everyone's hitting puberty. Because fun fact, actually girls hit puberty faster than guys. So for you guys out there, yes, you're going to see a lot of girls growing their cherries, looking hot as hell, you know, putting on makeup for the first time. And for any girls watching this, yeah, you know this is true. It's stressful getting into middle school. I know usually I mostly talk for the guys in these videos, but for you girls out there, it kind of goes for the same way. Keep yourself clean, all that same stuff. But at the same time, putting on makeup, it's not really needed. One thing I always tell a bunch of chicks nowadays is that your natural face will always be the best kind of face. So if you're already putting on like 4 pounds of makeup and becoming a cake face at like the age of like, what, grade 6? Yeah, by the time you're in high school, your face is going to be full of acne, disgustingness, and no one's going to want to come near you. And yeah, you're going to be ugly as hell. So as you're walking through your brand new middle school, seeing all these people that changed around you and stuff, one thing I would advise is do not go out and look for your friends. You will find your friends and actually, funny enough, make new friends in your new homeroom classrooms. And when you get to homeroom, one thing you're going to realize is that a lot of people you may recognize and a lot of people may not. A lot of people have changed, and a lot of people maybe change their preferences on friends they want to have. For example, I remember back when I was in middle school, my first day, I went inside and I saw one of my friends from elementary school, and I looked at him and I'm like, hey, what's going on, bro? He told me to get away from him because I didn't have the newest copy of Grand Theft Auto 5. Yes, he was playing a game that I wasn't even legally allowed to buy yet for myself, but he was allowed because his parents were considered the cool cats. Whatever that means. Yeah, you're cringe. I hate you to this day. Go literally jump off a cliff in GTA. Anyways, going on. When you enter in the classroom, you're going to sit down, and one thing you're going to realize that your teachers are very different people. Your teachers are not going to talk soft to you. They're going to be straight to the point and honest with you. Because the whole reason we have middle school in the first place in our education system is that so you guys can get used to being in high school. Hence, middle, high, elementary. Elementary is all fun and games. Middle school is to learn, hit puberty, and understand things. And high school is when you go off and live your freedom and suffer and realize that you don't know what you want to be. Yeah, that's basically the whole school system, if I'm being honest with you. So going on, you're going to be sitting in your brand new middle school classroom, looking around, kind of figuring out what you want to do and stuff. And you're going to look at your sheet that they give you that has a bunch of different classes. You're going to see, oh my goodness, I'm not stuck in one classroom for the rest of the school year. Yes, fun fact, you are going to be in a bunch of different classrooms, because if you guys don't know, in high school, you go into a bunch of different classrooms for each class, and middle school, they will kind of do the same, except maybe with not so many different types of classrooms. For example, your science room and your math room maybe will be in 2 different rooms that are right across from each other. Middle school likes to do this thing where they put people in teams and stuff. Yeah, I hate to break it to you, no team matters. Like if you're a raven or you're a wolf or you're the color blue or green or whatever your middle school decides to organize you guys by. And one thing I will mention is not to stress out. It's normal to be stressed out looking at different classrooms, but you'll get used to it over the school year. Now, this is the one thing that I think every middle schooler gets excited of, especially when they enter middle school, and that's lockers. I'll hate to break it to you guys. Lockers aren't that exciting. As much as you guys are gonna go decorate your lockers, put a cool mirror in it, or, you know, put some cool posters in there or whatever. It's not like in the movies. this. A locker is literally just a place where you dump your stuff and leave, so you don't have to carry so much on your back. Because fun fact, you will be carrying textbooks left and right and center. It's super annoying. It's super sucky, but you'll get used to it eventually. And no, they're nothing like cubbies where you put your lunchbox in your jacket. Like, you full on will throw your books in there. I know I did. Half of the school year, I remember I had a banana in there, and I didn't realize it until like 4 weeks in. Yeah, that banana was not good to eat. And no, I did not eat it. I just gave it to someone else, and they dealt with it. And also, if you guys do ever panic about the locks on your lockers, don't worry. It gets easier. It's all just memorization. And honestly, I only like searched up like 3 YouTube tutorials just to understand what's going on, or just ask your teacher to open it for you a couple times, and she'll do it because she has no choice, because she's literally paid to be there to support you. Now, in middle school, every time you go to a different classroom and stuff, you're gonna see a bunch of different types of kids in middle school. Most of these kids will be the people that think, oh, if I raise my hand up a bunch of times and answer the teacher's questions, I'll be the cool kid. Yeah, no, you're known as the annoying kid. Don't put your hand up so much in your classroom. It doesn't matter if you want to answer all the questions, but just don't. Even if you know the answer, let someone else talk. You know, you being in silence and in shadow mode is better. It's like being a ninja. You want to be a ninja in middle school. You want to be successful, but silent, but deadly. Actually, fun fact, girls like that. And last but not least, and I cannot stress this enough, do not go under the wrong group of kids in middle school. In middle school, you guys are turning into teenagers, like I said earlier, and you guys will be trying to learn different things and get into different things. For example, drugs is one of the main iconic ones that a lot of middle schoolers do. Like, for example, vaping or doing the devil's lettuce. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you guys that right now. As a young teenager, you shouldn't be getting into that, because it will ruin and damage your brain and make you slow and basically disabled when you enter high school. Like, you're gonna end up being that kid that goes, and blaming all your reasons for not knowing anything in high school to all the stuff in your past trauma. Yeah, no, just don't do drugs. It's not worth it, guys. Seriously. And if anyone peer pressures you, just say like, no, square. You know, like, I don't know, just pull some excuse, okay? It's not worth it. And also, reminder, you're not a gangster in middle school. If you try to be any type of gang kid whatsoever, and you guys know I hate gang kids, just tell them that you're ugly and dumb, because, you know, there's no such thing as gangsters in middle school, okay? I hate to break it to you. And last but not least, yeah, just be your best self. You know, always be yourself in any scenario. That's why I always say, never pull off a fake persona that you have to go with through the whole year, because reminder, middle school is like 3 years of your life. It's not worth faking it. So being popular in elementary school honestly isn't that difficult. I don't know why people think it's hard to be popular, but I know back when I was in elementary school, the only way you had to be popular was being either the fastest kid or the prettiest girl. Comment down below which one were you guys, but for me, I was neither of them. Yeah, literally neither. I remember back in my grade 3 year, I was just a basic kid, just hanging out, doing my own thing, and honestly, the only thing I was really good at was playing Call of Duty. But then I remember out of nowhere, there was this one kid in my class that always felt like he had something to prove. I don't know why this kid was so annoying, but to this day, I still remember his face, and it makes me want to just end his whole career. Going on though, I remember it got so annoying, and this kid would always come up to kids being like, oh, your pencil is like one of those basic orange ones? Well, I have this special lead pencil. Bro, we don't care if you have a lead pencil. I don't know. He would always say the most bizarre things ever. And I'm not gonna lie, even though he was super competitive, we all understood why. And the main reason was that this guy had a major crush on one of the girls in our class. Now, funny enough, when I say in our class, she wasn't actually in our class. She was the grade 5 helper that was sent from the grade 5 class to come and help us little kids. So I'm just in grade 3, minding my own business, while this grade 3 student that was sitting next to me that's always super competitive is trying to rizz up this baddie of a grade 5. Okay, I just realized how bad that sounded. Tommy, can we just like maybe I don't even know. Anyways, aside from the Diddy stuff, no joke, it made me super uncomfortable knowing this. And honestly, even my teacher found this really cute. So I'm just like in my own mind, ignoring everything that's going on every time she would enter the classroom. But then the most craziest thing happened where one day at lunchtime, I remember walking with this kid towards the playground, and we were all gonna play Grounders, one of the most iconic games to ever play in elementary school. And as I walk up with this kid and we're just like, you know, minding our own business, out of nowhere, a grade 5 ends up walking up to this kid's crush and ends up saying, hey, you want to see how fast I am? And he ends up running super fast by her. And for some reason, I thought this was super cringe until I noticed this girl was actually genuinely impressed. Yeah, no joke. This grade 5 that was running just across the field ended up getting the awes of so many women in our school. It actually kind of like made me realize how dumb we are when we're young, because like who cares if you're the fastest? No one's faster than Speed. Well, to be fair, we didn't have Speed back then. He was still in high school, but overall, like it just made absolutely no sense. But I remember when this grade 3 student that was super annoying and competitive ended up seeing this guy, all the girls like that, he ended up walking up to me being like, yo, Bubba, watch this. And he ends up walking up to that grade 5 student being like, hey man, I bet I'm faster than you. Oh yeah, you think you're faster than me? Is what this grade 5 says. And me, I thought he was gonna get beat the life out of him, but surprisingly, they ended up setting up races. At this point on, no joke, we had over 10 races happen that lunchtime. I don't even know how, but some way we did, and it was so weird just seeing students not even playing in the playground, but just racing each other. It was like the live stream from I Show Speed and Ashton Hall racing each other over and over again. This was literally the same thing, and it was so cringe. It got to the point where even students were arguing of who finished first, and we had to set up cameras and stuff, but since we weren't allowed our phones in school, we would get in trouble. As for me, I thought all this was dumb the entire time. Probably how you guys are thinking it is as well. So I remember I ended up actually just sitting in the corner of the field and pulling out my Nintendo DS playing Super Smash Brothers. But sadly, the story gets a lot worse, because I remember one day at lunch, I want to say this was like a week later, this competitive kid ends up walking up to me and he says to me, I bet I'm faster than you, bro. Okay, cool. But for some reason, this grade 5 girl ended up seeing how this kid was talking to me, and she walks up to us saying, it's okay, guys. It doesn't matter who's the fastest. And this kid got super upset that I was basically egoing him. So he's like, no, I'm way faster. I swear I'm faster than him. Yeah, I still didn't care. And I remember I started to ignore him even more till it got to the point where students started gathering around me around the field and saying, Bubba, you should just race him, bro. Race him. And at that moment, I ended up having to race this guy. I remember we ended up lining up, and me and him, we just like looking at each other, and one thing led to another. This girl ends up saying, okay, ready, set, go. And this kid ends up sprinting so fast, like no joke. I was actually concerned that his legs were gonna break, but as he was running and sprinting super quick, and I remember as he was sprinting so quick, I started to worry until something insane happened, where he actually ended up falling down and face planting onto the floor. At that moment, this girl ends up coming up to me and putting her arm around my shoulder saying, oh, Bubba, you won. And I'm just looking back at how he face planted. So I walked up to him and actually stood him up and said, yo, bro, are you okay? Yeah, I want a rematch. No, don't worry, dude. You're way faster than me. Anyways, I'm done racing. And I walked away. At that moment, when everyone realized how easily I just didn't care about the win, the races kind of slowly started becoming less of a trend. It was still cool and popular to be the fastest kid, but overall, no one cares if you're the fastest anymore. Like when we all grow up, the only thing that's a flex is having more money. But if you guys went to elementary school, fall for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.